Hey folks, Jeff, Mill Creek Bushcraft and Survival. You know, it doesn't take very long in the woods for anyone interested in the outdoors to realize the importance of a high quality cutting tool and the advantages of knowing how to use it. Knives are tools, and like any other tool, they're designed to perform specific tasks. Butcher knives, as their name implies, are designed for butchering game. And although they will perform many other tasks just as well, it's only in butchering game that they'll truly be appreciated. So when it comes to bushcraft, survival, camping, it only makes sense that we're going to choose a cutting tool designed for the job centered around both, whether that be in a learning environment or in a real life scenario. Horace Kephart said this: "A camper has use for a common sense sheath knife, sometime for dressing big game, but oftener for more homely work as cutting sticks, slicing bacon, and frying spuds." In his book Camping and Woodcraft, he describes a knife that would come to be known as the Kephart style knife, which would later be produced by the Colclesser brothers, setting the standard for years to come in bushcraft knife making. It's been said that the Kephart knife is everything you need and nothing you don't. There have been hundreds of bushcraft knives over the years to incorporate and improve on Kephart's original design. And certainly at the front of that pack is the knife we want to talk about today, the Wright Genesis. Bam! Let's get it on!
Well, I was born down in the Southland 20-some odd years ago. I ran away for the first time when I was only 4 years old. I'm a freeborn man, born my home is on my back. I know every inch of a highway, every foot of back road, every mile of railroad track.
Okay, so as you can probably tell, we've switched gears here just a little. If it looks like I just got off work, your eyes aren't lying to you. I did. I intentionally did this though so that we could talk about the materials that are used in making the Genesis. This might not mean a lot to some, and I understand that, but it does to me. I've been in the machine shop, tool and die trade since 1987, and metal is what I have worked with every day for the past 30 plus years. It's what has put the food on the table for me and my family. I've also made several knives for myself, and I know from experience that the metal you use can determine the limits and overall functionability of your cutting tool. If you get your blade too hard, it's going to be prone to breaking, too soft, and the edge won't hold up to the rigorous tasks that are associated with bushcrafting. So with that being said, let me turn the camera from my ugly mug and focus in on the Genesis. As you can tell, this knife is still basically new. I have used it quite a bit, but I'm one of those kind of guys, I believe you ought to take care of the tools that your life might be possibly dependent on. Now that doesn't mean that you don't use them, but it does mean that you use them in a way that they were intended and with that thought in mind. And I'm sure in the months and years to come that it'll have battle scars on it like the rest of my knives do, as well as myself for that matter. But it's only smart that you keep your tools in tip-top working condition. Maybe that's just a quirk I carry over from my full-time job, but it has served me well over the years when it comes to my tools. And my first thought when I picked up the Genesis for the first time was how comfortable that it was in my hand. I don't know how all that works, maybe it's just me, but it really feels like it was made for my hand. No matter how you hold it, it doesn't seem to want to fight you back. I don't care if you're choking up to do feather sticks, if you're getting up here close to the end to do some fine carving work on triggers or whatnot for deadfalls. It just really feels comfortable in your hand. And I find that kind of odd because it's such a simple handle. And I guess that's what it always comes back to, is simplicity. Okay, let's talk about the materials. The blade is 9 inches overall. It's got like 4 1/4 inches, I believe, of cutting edge. It's a full tang knife, which means that the blade extends the full length of the knife, running through the center and making up the center part of the handle. The steel is 1/8 inch thick A2 tool steel. Now there are a lot of different kinds of tool steels that are available, or high carbon steels you can call them. Some are known for their hardenability, while others are known for their toughness or wearability. The thing about A2 is it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. It's been used for everything from forming blocks to shear blades in dies that are used to punch out, stamp, or form other metals, as well as any other tools that might need those same characteristics. This particular steel heat treats at about 1750 degrees and then is tempered at around 400 degrees to make it more tough and less brittle. Now you can vary those temperatures and achieve different Rockwell hardnesses on your metal. The guys at LT Wright have got theirs down to where they get between a 57 and a 59 hardness. It has a high polish Scandi grind that is ground to a 0 edge and then micro buffed razor sharp. Now when I say razor sharp, I mean it is razor sharp. You can shave with this thing out of the box. Out of all the knives that I've purchased over the years, I don't think I've seen one as sharp as this one out of the box. All of this being said, it results in a blade that's not only going to be easy to sharpen, but it's going to hold an edge for a long time. This particular model has black micarta scales with white liners, and these scales are assembled with epoxy on every surface. Even the screws and the brass nuts that hold them on has got epoxy on all of them. Now there's several different variations that you can have on the micarta. There's several different colors that are available. You can go on ltwrightKnives.com and you can see all that they have available for this knife. It also comes with a nice leather sheath that has a dangler. You can wear it with the dangler, or you can wear it down like this and just run your belt through the loop here, or you can remove the dangler completely. It has a ferrocerium rod holder that will hold up to a 3/8 inch rod. I bought my own rod and made a custom handle from the burr of an old deer antler I had in my shop, which surprisingly turned out with the same basic shape as the ones they sell at LT Wright. I was pretty pleased with this when I got through with it. The knife fits good and snug in the sheath, and I have seen videos on a few people that have wet formed the sheath to where it fits the knife a little bit better. I don't know, I might do something like that in the future. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so let's see if the Genesis performs as well as it looks. All right, that was pretty good batoning. I realized that was some dried out poplar, so it's gonna split pretty easy. Let's get something a little tougher. I'm not 100% sure what that is. That might be some dogwood or some Bradford pear. I had some Bradford pears I had to prune here a week or so ago. So as I already figured, this Genesis is going to handle anything that you want to baton. Now with that being said, I want to give you a disclaimer. I very seldom am going to do that with my belt knife. 9 times out of 10, if I go to the woods, I'm carrying my Grantsford small forest axe, and it's going to do the majority of my wood processing. And there's times where it won't do what I need it to do, or wouldn't do it as safe as I could do it with my belt knife. And one, for instance, is using it for feather sticking, using it to shave off fine fat wood pieces that I could get a fire going with. So let's see how it does doing that. One thing that I didn't mention in the previous part of the video was how sharp the back side, the spine of this knife is. There will be no problem with this knife processing bark for a tinder or throwing a spark off of a ferro rod. So I've got this piece of cedar here. I'll kind of give you a for instance as to what it'll do. You can just shave off very easy anything that you would need in the way of a tinder bundle. Wind has really gotten up out here. And that's something I like to do to save my blade when I can. Cedar is one of my favorite woods, as is tulip poplar and sapped soaked pine. Even this fat wood, the back of that blade works wonders on it, getting you the fine shavings that you need to catch a spark. I'm going to set that to the side and we're going to make a feather stick. One of the areas that I think that Genesis really excels is its ability to be controlled so well with your hands. And one of the areas that comes into play is when you have to make triggers, notches for deadfalls, pot hangers, You just couldn't ask for any more control over a knife than what you've got with the Genesis. So I hope I've answered some of your questions about the LT Wright Genesis. In my opinion, it's one of the best knives out today. It's going to serve you well in any type of bushcraft scenario, any type of survival scenario. I didn't mention earlier, but this knife is, because it's not stainless steel and it is a high carbon steel, if need be, you can take a flint or chert rock, any hard rock, and get a spark off the spine of it. If you don't have a ferro rod, you find yourself in that situation. It's just another tool that we can add in our arsenal. I urge you to get out, to learn some of these skills, learn some bushcrafting, survival, to prepare yourself for whatever this life has got to throw at you. I also urge you to prepare your soul, folks, for the life to come. This is Jeff, Mill Creek Bushcraft and Survival. Thanks for watching. Give me a shout out in the comments, like, subscribe. See you next time.
Well, I was born down in the Southland 20-some odd years ago. I ran away for the first time